Welcome to Nightmare County. I'm your host, Random Ghoul, and thank you for tuning in to today's video. I'm going to do something a little bit different today, or actually kind of similar to something I've done in the past, with it being the second day of October. I was going to make this video yesterday, but I was traveling, so I wasn't able to. But here we are. I wanted to do a 10 random movies that you should watch during the Halloween season. Some of these are slightly popular. Some are kind of go under the radar, I guess. And most of these are just pure special effects, campy, fun horror flicks. Which are usually my favorite. They're the ones I love showing to my friends. I always like having a laugh with them. Don't get me wrong, I love my hardcore horror stuff, but these I love, especially like during the 80s, 90s horror element of special effects that came out and everything with these movies. I really love those. So I wanted to do a 10 random flicks that I think, horror flicks, that I think you should add to your rotation if you haven't already. And yeah, so here we go. First one up is going to be probably my favorite remake, and for a lot of people that'll kind of blow them away, because The Thing is usually the first remake of a older film that people love immensely, and I do as well. I love The Thing. I mean, I got a Thing poster for crying out loud. The Thing is one of the best remakes, one of the best one of the best sci-fi horror films ever made. And then close right behind it, a lot of people probably say The Fly, with Jeff Goldblum and everything. But for me personally, for a flick that terrified me as a kid, and one that I just simply enjoy anytime I watch it, it is The Blob. And yes, I know, I don't have the special edition like Blu-ray from Scream Factory, which I plan on getting eventually. But yeah, I have this version, and I also have it on VHS. But I love The Blob. I don't know what it is. I saw it as a kid, man. It made me afraid of drains, especially like when I was a kid trying to take a bath. I was afraid of the blob shooting up through the stopper or coming through the toilet or the sink. So I would take all the toilet paper rolls for some reason in my small child brain, and I would stack everything on top of the toilet, thinking that would keep the blob out. And you know what? It did. It sure did. But because it wasn't real. But anyways, I simply love The Blob. I love the special effects in it. It's got some really great sequences in it. It's just a fun, glorious B monster movie that needs to be seen. And it doesn't get mentioned when people talk about remakes. I always see The Thing, The Fly, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre remake get mentioned almost more so than The Blob. And I think The Blob is just deservedly better and more fun than all those. Not as scary as The Thing, or as intense, or as... It's just a fun... It's my favorite B monster movie, I guess. I love The Blob. Chuck Russell did a good job directing this. It's got... It's just fun. You need to see it. So definitely see The Blob. Next up is I'm pretty sure everyone loves this flick. If you love the Chiodo brothers, who are famous for The Killer Clowns from Outer Space, which is one of my favorite B monster movies. I don't see people bring up Critters nearly enough. And I think that the Critters is, especially the first two, man. The first two Critters movies are fun. You're going to have a blast watching them. Critters is definitely a movie you need to add to your rotation. It's silly. It's got some good acting from some D. Wallace Stone, who's in the first one and everything. And it's just simply a fun flick, and I think everyone should check it out. Especially love the Chiodo brothers and stuff that they do with their special effects, because they did the Critters. And it just, yeah, you need to see it. Definitely add the Critters to your rotation. Next up is another special effects B-movie, monster movie that never shows up on anyone's list. I really don't think it shows up on anyone's list. I personally like it because it's got the same elements as like the Killer Clowns from Outer Space, Critters, the Blob, but it's incredibly low budget. and that is The Deadly Spawn. The Deadly Spawn is just a crazy monster movie, and I would say for almost any, if there was any kind of alien that would land on Earth, I mean, don't get me wrong, the Blob would suck, but the Deadly Spawn, man, the world wouldn't survive at all. But I definitely love the Deadly Spawn. It's another fun flick, guaranteed. It is low budget. Definitely you should add, if you can find it. I'll add, in fact, down in the the info down below, I'll put where you can mostly find all these flicks. Most of these, I know you can find Critters pretty much anywhere in the Blob, but you can rarely find the Deadly Spawn on anything. But I'll look it up and I'll post below where all the videos can be found. Next up on this list, and I know these are not like a top 10. This is like this 10 flicks you should add. Next up on this list, though, is a favorite of mine as a kid was The Kindred. This movie is just fun. Another fun flick, a fun creature feature that I absolutely love. And no one ever, it's like hardly anybody knows about this movie except like a little small cult following. It's very fun. And when the special effects and everything, the monster starts developing and everything, it gets even better. And I think everyone should give it a watch. So if you can, definitely check out The Kindred. Next up is one of my favorite animal-esque horror flicks, and that is Man's Best Friend. Why there is not like a souped up special edition Blu-ray of this shit, I have no idea. As a kid, this movie was talked about all the freaking time. You would think this movie was a lot bigger in popularity than what it was, because where I was from, everyone talked about this flick. Man's Best Friend. It's silly. It's got some it's goofy moments in it, but it's still a very fun flick, and I think everyone should check it out. But my Band's Best Friend, it's got Lance Henriksen in it, who always does a solid performance and everything. So if you ever find it, or find it on DVD, or you can find it, I've never seen it on streaming, but I'll look it up and I'll post down below if I can find it. But Man's Best Friend. Next up is a flick that came out in the 90s. I saw as a kid. This and Ticks were two of my favorite insect bee monster movies to put together growing up, and that is Mosquito. It's got Gunnar Hansen in it, and a really cool cameo. His part's pretty good, co-star in it. It's fun. This is just simply a fun flick. The special effects are great for if you like practical effects. And that's the other thing. All these movies are all practical effects, which is another big plus for me, and why I love them and everything. But Mosquito is just fun. If you've ever been camping and you want to, especially in the summertime, I always tell people what are good summer horror time flicks to watch. And I always say the Mosquito, Ticks, among your mini slashers. But I love adding Mosquito, definitely, and I would say Ticks to that list. If you have never seen it, check out Mosquito. Next up is a comedy slasher flick that doesn't get talked about enough, and that is Motel Hell. Motel Hell is just another very fun comedic. And comedy, you have to take it with a grain of salt, but if you watch it with a bunch of friends and you're drinking or something or whatever, it's a very fun flick to watch. I would definitely check out Motel Hell. Next up on my list is, without a doubt, probably one of my top 10 favorite horror movies, period. Or actually probably one of my top 10 favorite flicks. And most people would, by this director, they would put Monster Squad as their favorite of his. While I love Monster Squad, and don't get me wrong, I love Monster Squad. I show it to it's one of the few horror films I show to my kids to get them interested in horror movies. But Night of the Creeps. Man, there's something about this movie I simply love. It's goofy. It's an awesome sci-fi horror movie, comedy. You wanted to be friends with the people, the kids in this flick. And Tom Atkins is so cool in it. Of course, his one-liners like "thrill me" and everything are just fantastic. But I I mean, I love this movie as a kid. I still love it today. I watch it at least once every 2 months or so. But for Halloween, it'd be fantastic. But if you've never seen Night of the Creeps, and I'm hoping most of you who are watching this have, but if you haven't, man, add Night of the Creeps to your list. Fantastically fun movie. Next up is a slasher movie that it's one of my favorites, and it's another like slasher movie no one really talks about. Came in late of the 80s and kind of got shoved under and everything. The slasher movies are really dying out, and that is Popcorn. But as a kid, the VHS cover that we saw would have been what's on the back. This right here. This right here was enough to seal the deal with me renting the movie. I own this movie on Blu-ray, DVD. I don't own DVD. I own it on Blu-ray, and I own it on VHS. And also have like the old Fright Rags T-shirt. But I loved Popcorn. It was it was like a meta slasher film before Wes Craven's Scream came out, and I like the idea of a slasher movie taking place in a theater and the killer using different disguises along with whatever movie that's showing and everything. I enjoy it. And they're showing all these old B-movie classic movies on the screen. Just a fun flick, fun slasher movie. It's got some good sequences in it. It's just a personal favorite of mine. It's not probably everybody's favorite that likes slasher movies, but it's mine, and I think it's worth a check out. So yeah, definitely give Popcorn a try. And the very last movie on this list is, I went with a classic movie. I almost went with another one, but I figured I'm going to do another video about 10 movies. I'll talk about that a little bit. Let's get this done. This, for the last but not least, is a horror movie that I absolutely love. It's also the name of one of my favorite 90s heavy metal bands. So if you know that, it's White Zombie. I love this flick. I watch it just as much as I do any of the other Universal Classic Monster movies with Frankenstein. I love Bela Lugosi. He's my favorite Universal star, classic monster actor and everything. And even though when he left, his career was kind of declining and everything, the movies and roles he took, he still made some stellar performances and put out some good movies. And White Zombie is one of those. And while you can find this movie pretty much everywhere, this is probably my favorite release of it from BCI. And they did a pretty good job with the transfer of the Blu-ray and everything. I think there's another one out there that they did another great job with. But this one, it's a favorite. I got a poster of this from Mondo. I was a big fan of White Zombie. And I love introducing people who like, especially the old black and white monster movies, who've never seen it. I love introducing this to them. It's a favorite. And if you have never seen White Zombie, you can find this on Prime, Tubi, almost everything. And the transfer on the Prime one is pretty good, I believe. So definitely, if you've never seen Bela Lugosi's White Zombie, definitely check it out. And that is 10 flicks I think you should, if you've never seen them, should add to your list. Most of these can be found on Prime, Tubi, Pluto, almost all your streaming services. One of them its own. But like I said, down in the comments below, I'll post a link where you can probably find all of these. If I can't find them on a streaming service, I will definitely tell you where you can purchase one of these movies. Most of you noticed, you wouldn't have noticed, Scream Factory, Synapse, Vinegar Syndrome, and are usually my go-to, or VCR are my go-to for horror movies, or Severin. So one of those companies definitely will have one of these flicks. But yeah, I'll probably make another Halloween-esque video of movies that you would think that Universal Studios made. And because everyone always focuses on like Frankenstein, Dracula, Wolfman, Creature from the Black Lagoon, Invisible Man, and everything. I want to do a top 10 list of movies that you would think that Universal made, but they didn't. But they have that Universal feel to them, and there's some really great flicks out there like The Undying Monster and everything, that the cinematography in them, they have this great gothic look to them, and of course, the glorious black and white like all the Universal Classic Monster movies. I'll make a list of those. That'll probably be my next video. Anyways, that's being said, I hope you enjoyed this video. It's a little quick. I want to get video out there, especially for the beginning of Halloween. Hope you enjoyed it. If you liked it, man, hit that like button. If you haven't subscribed already, subscribe and comment below. You can find me on you can find me on Instagram and Facebook under Nightmare County or Randall M. Gould on Instagram. I plan on making more videos, especially now that I'm home and everything. And I'll make some more martial arts videos. I'm gonna do a top 10 Shaw Brothers movies that I think you should check out. Golden Harvest. I'm gonna go through like some of those major studios and talk about flicks you should see and everything. But along with putting out stuff for Halloween that's coming up. Like I said, I hope you enjoy this video and comment below. Don't be a stranger and tune in.